Yuval Weber is an associate professor at Daniel Morgan Graduate School in Washington, D.C., and joins us now to talk some more about this. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Any guess as to where this is going to happen?
Well, the reports point to two sort of Cold War era locations, either Vienna, Austria, or Helsinki, Finland, two countries that were neutral nations in the post-World War II period.
Yuval, we are hearing from Mr. Bolton that the leaders want to sit down and talk about what they have in common, things that they work on together. What would those things be?
Sure, it's sort of like because there probably won't be too many preconditions set for the summit itself, they could shoot for the moon and come up with some sort of grand bargain on Syria and Ukraine. Russian sources have long put out some sort of plan wherein Russia helps the United States achieve its goals in Syria itself so that the United States can exit out of the fight in return for what Russia really wants, which is U.S. recognition of the annexation of Crimea and for a resolution of the civil war in Ukraine to Russia's satisfaction. So those are the two big things that Russia would like. And of course, one other thing that President Trump will probably bring up in order to sort of put to bed is any of these allegations about election tampering. Probably what both of them want to do is raise it so that it can be put away, so that any future U.S. president would look very churlish if he or she brought that issue up.
All right,
that's probably what, yeah.
Let's go back to some of the international issues between Syria and Ukraine. If Trump were to accept the annexation of Crimea, that would really alienate the allies.
Oh, for sure. So what we saw when it was the G7 meeting and then the Kim summit of seems a long time ago, but it was only a few weeks ago, is President Trump really doesn't like to feel that he's beholden to anyone. He likes to be sort of the most powerful person in the room. He likes to set the decisions. If he were to raise the issue of Crimean annexation, that would be both a cudgel against the NATO members to get them to raise their defense spending, as well as something in order to eliminate all other complaints against the U.S. so that they would have to focus in on that particular issue. He doesn't want them to set any part of the agenda, and raising Crimea and Ukraine in a way that would be favorable for Russia and for Putin would certainly do that.
Okay, so let me ask you whether Republicans support this summit, or do some of them at least think that this is a man, Vladimir Putin, who needs to be kept at arm's length because of the interference in the election and many other reasons?
So sure. So in Washington, you hear every day Republican senators and congresspeople complaining about Trump privately about number of issues. And on the record, very few of them actually support this policy. And sort of what we can see in both legislative and executive branches is that there's two different Russia policies. There's President Trump, which is sought to be sort of more friendly, talk to whomever, including talking to Vladimir Putin, and the rest of the government, which is dead set against cooperation with Russia. But the bigger sort of underlying domestic issue here in the U.S. is that Republican senators and congresspeople are afraid that if they cross the president on anything, and Russia is very, very sensitive to the president, then he'll turn his Twitter tirades against them, and that will really hurt them with primary voters and with Republican voters in their home districts.
Well, we cannot get away from the election year, of course not. Yuval Weber in Washington. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.